Hello and welcome to my free web design workshop. My name's Alexa and I'll be your mentor during these lessons. Today we're going to be getting started with intermediate HTML, and I'm really excited because this is our first live video. If you're here with us live at 4, then that's great, and if you're watching at a later time, that's totally fine. Like I said, we're going to be getting started with intermediate HTML today. I'm going to show you how to set up Glitch, but if you already watched my getting started video, you'll have that set up, but I'm just going to do it again in case you didn't watch it and need a little refresher. So let's begin with the slides. Okay, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now you don't necessarily need to know this, it's a bunch of fancy words, but I'll explain what we really need to know about HTML. So what is HTML? It's a markup language that is used in browsers. Browsers are applications like Safari, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever you use to search stuff up on the internet. HTML is made up of elements, and these elements are denoted by tags. Now, if you don't know exactly what this means so far, I'll show you in a bit. Right here down below on the slide we have this h1 tag. This is a heading tag, and it just says this is a heading. Okay, so let's go over tags. First we have opening tags, so these little greater than less than signs that you probably rarely used on your keyboard. And then we have the name of the tag within those little greater than less than signs. And then we have our closing tag, which is very similar to the opening tag, except it has that little slash there. And some elements don't have these closing tags, like the image element and the break element, but don't worry about those for now because I will get into them later. Real quick, let me just escape and go to a website so I can show you what I mean by element. So let's go to example.com. Right here we get our initial heading. This is all done with HTML. Example domain, this is probably a heading. And here we have a paragraph, which is also done with HTML. And then we also have this link here, which is indeed also done with HTML. And if we inspect this page, we can actually go into the HTML and see that, yes, this is an H1. And this is a paragraph, and this is a link. So, and that is all done with the HTML. Now let's go back to the slide and talk a little bit about what makes up our HTML documents. So we have a specific HTML template that we must follow so that the browser knows what we're talking about when we write our code. All HTML files must start with this doc type HTML line with this exclamation point, and this basically signifies that the file is an HTML document. It tells the browser it's an HTML document, and the browser knows to render it in that way. Then we have our outer layer of HTML tags. This is where absolutely everything goes. And then inside of that we have our head tag. This is where metadata is stored. Metadata seems like a complicated word, but we'll focus more on this head tag during our CSS and JavaScript lessons, so don't worry about that too much for now. But the thing that we are going to cover today is the body tag. And very professionally put, this is where all the cool elements go. This is where our headings are going to go, our paragraphs, our images, our links, all of that great stuff is going to go in the body. So, now that we know that, this may seem a little confusing, but I'm going to reinforce what we just learned by going to Glitch and showing you in the actual code editor. So I'm already signed in. I'm going to sign out just to show you how to get started with Glitch, you want to join Glitch, it's free, and then you want to sign into your account or create an account. I signed in with GitHub because I have that service, but it'll take you to this page, and then you're going to click New Project and click this Hello-Web page. So I'm going to do that. It's going to load up the project for me. We'll see that we get this funky name, Alluring Striped Snake. Let's change this to something our website's going to be about. Coding website, maybe? No. Coding tutorial website. Alright. So after you renamed your website, we can see that we're in Glitch. So right here to the left is where all of our files are. We are currently looking at this readme.md file because it's highlighted blue, so that means we're on it here. And this is just something that Glitch gave us to say hello. It's not really necessary for the website. You can even delete this if you want. I'm just going to leave it there. But today we're going to be focusing on this file here, index.html. So let's click it, and we get this whole bunch of code that looks a little bit daunting, but I'll explain it. Index.html is an HTML file because look, we have that .html extension, and also, look, we talked about this in the Google Slides, we have this doctype HTML line at the top of the document. Alright, so let's see if we can find the other things that we saw in the slide. So here, right after our first line, we have HTML, lang equals en. Don't worry about this too much because all this has to do, all it basically says is the language is English. Now if we click on this, we see that Glitch highlights this closing tag down here. So basically we have an HTML opening tag here and a closing tag here. And within these tags, we have a bunch of other tags, including the head tag and the body tag. And we know that this is the outer layer because we see this little indent here. The indent means that we're inside the tag. So the head tag is inside the HTML tag. Alright, so we got a lot going on in this head tag. A bunch of stuff. We see the word meta, probably means metadata, but there's a few things we got to do in here before we can move on. The first thing is I want you to highlight this, and if you're on Mac, press Command/, and if you're on Windows, press Control/, and it will basically comment this line out. Now, in code, commenting out means basically ignoring this line of text so that the browser or whatever is running this code doesn't read it, it just skips over it, doesn't pay attention to it. And I also want you to do that with this script tag, so we're going to do Command/ or Control/. Alright, now we can move on to the body. So Glitch gives us some stuff in here that we don't necessarily need. So what I want you to do is delete everything inside the body. So highlight all this and just delete it. So now you should have a body that is empty and you should be able to start. Okay, now we can get started with the coding. Actually, first, we need to know how to preview our website. So we can do that by either opening it in a new window or next to our code. Again, how I got that is by clicking show. So I'm just going to do next to code. And you're probably confused, why is this a blank screen? Well, we have nothing in the body, so it would be a blank screen because where are all our cool elements? They're not there. We gotta put them there. Okay. So the first thing our website needs is a heading. How do we get a heading? This is our h1 tag. And this is the tag that I demonstrated in the slides. So h1, if we type this, then nothing shows up. Well, we actually need to put the title or the text we want to appear here in this tag. So I'm just going to put coding. I'm going to make a website about coding. I know, how original. So if we do that, we see this bold, large text comes up on the screen there. Now, the heading tag comes in many different flavors, and what I mean by that is if I put H2, I'm going to say is, and let's put an H6. Coding is great. Now, what's the difference between an H1, an H2, and an H6? Well, we can see here that our H1 looks like the biggest heading, and then as we move down, we get progressively smaller, with our H6 being the smallest header. So again, we can put an H3, an H4, and H5, anything between 1 and 6. Those are our flavors of headings. I'm just going to delete these two because they don't really look that great. But I am going to add a H3, which is going to be my subtitle. So I'm going to say, coding is great, especially when it's web design. Yeah. So we can see that this subtitle is a little smaller than the H1, and it's a little less bolded, I would say. Alright, so in your website, you're probably going to have somewhere where you need to write something, you need to explain something, maybe putting a paragraph would help out. So let's go over the paragraph tag. Just like the H1 tag, we're going to have these less than greater than signs, but instead of putting H1 or H3, we're going to put P, and P stands for paragraph. So if we do that, we get this tag here, and let's write something, anything really. Now, this paragraph tag doesn't mean that you actually have to write a paragraph. You can write however many sentences you want. It just is denoted as a paragraph. It doesn't need to be 6 sentences or whatever defines a paragraph. But let's just say coding is a great skill to learn. Anyone can learn to code. Not really a paragraph, but you get the point. You could write some info about your website here. But anyway, this is what it's going to look like when it's rendered out on the browser. And we see that it's a lot less bold than the headings, and it's a little smaller. Okay. Now there's also things that we can add to this paragraph, so we'll go over that now. What if we want to italicize or bold something in our paragraph? Maybe a single word. So let's italicize this word great. We do that by using the emphasis tags. Now I see glitch generates a closing tag right here, but we're actually going to put this right between the great tag, between the great text. So basically these tags surround this great. And we see here that the great is now italicized. I wouldn't say it's the best place to put the italicized on the great, but it'll do for now. But we can also bold words. We do that by using the strong tag. So I'm going to bold this piece of text, or this word learn. And to do that, I'm going to again surround it with the strong tags, just like I did with the emphasis tags on the great, and we can see that we get this bold learn. Now, what if I want to bold and emphasize something? We can do that by putting the strong tag around our already emphasized great. If we do that, we get italicized and bolded words. So here, make sure yours looks like this. We have strong, we have our great, then we have it our emphasis tags wrapped around that, and then we have our strong tags wrapped around all of this. Alright, so we made some of our words a little fancy in this paragraph. Now let's talk about ways we can list information. There's two types of lists in HTML. One is the ordered list, and the other is the unordered list. I'm first going to create a title for this list within H3, and I'm going to say steps to becoming a great coder. Alright, so we usually use ordered list when we want to write out step-by-step things like maybe a recipe to follow, or steps to becoming a great coder is a good example. But we need to add our list element first. So we do that by doing ordered list, which is OL. So when we do that, we get these tags here. Nothing shows up because we didn't type any text, but let's try to type some text. Well, that's not exactly what I was hoping for. We just get this strange indented text, but we actually wanted the numbers to come up, right? We wanted the steps, 1, 2, 3. Well, we actually need another tag in this ordered list tag. This is the list tag. It stands for list items, and when we put that inside, we get this 1 here. And right inside of this tag, we can start typing our first step. So the first step to becoming a great coder is to have a positive mindset. Definitely the first step, I would say. So let's do step 2. All we have to do is create another li, and then we get automatically this 2 coming up. And let's say find what coding language you're interested in. Now step 3, add another li. Let's say take a class in that coding language. Now you may be doing that right now by taking my web design class. Anyway, here we have our list. It's not very detailed, but you get the point. So let's move on to our unordered list. Again, I'm going to create another H3. This is just going to be the list title. Again, you don't have to make this. It's not required for you to make a title for your list, but it's just helpful for someone who's viewing your website. Because if they just saw this, they'd probably be like, okay, but where's the context? Anyway, I'm going to say coding resources. I'm not rating these resources. I'm not putting them in any specific order, which is why I'm using a unordered list. The unordered list is very similar to the ordered list, except we use a UL, standing for unordered list. And we do the same thing. We put our LIs in this tag. Now, coding resources. 1, I'll put GitHub. Next, I'll put Stack Overflow. That's definitely a good resource. And then last, I'll put Free Codecamp. If you never heard of these resources, then I recommend you check them out. They are really great, and I've used them throughout my coding experiences. Yeah, if you want to check these out in your free time, please do. Okay, so now that we have our 2 lists, our website's actually looking pretty good. It's not the prettiest, but it does have some content, and that means we're on the right track. Alright, so let's move on to the more complicated tags. This includes the link tag and the image tag. So what we want to do for the link tag, this is where if you want to embed links, meaning when you go on a website and you click a link, it'll bring you to that page. That's what we're going to be doing now. So to get the link, you need an A tag. I don't really know what this stands for, but I just know that it's the link tag. It's not really that important what it stands for. Anyway, this link is different from the others because we can't just type something in there. It'll just pop up as text, and we won't be able to click on it, and it won't bring us to any website. So what we have to do is add an attribute. Now, attributes are basically more information that a tag takes in. Some tags don't need attributes, like the heading tags don't need attributes, the paragraphs don't, all of the ones we've just done don't need attributes, but the link tag actually requires an attribute, and the attribute name is href. So again, this might look a little foreign to you, but we put attributes in our opening tag. We put a space between them and the abbreviation of our tag, and then we put the attribute name, and we say equals and then quotation marks. So what are we going to put in these quotation marks? We're actually going to put the website we want to be redirected to. So I'm just going to do this as a test and put google.com. So I'm going to copy that link and paste it right into these quotations. And then you may be a bit confused because nothing comes up, but we actually need to type our text before it'll show up, and it'll say Google it. So if I click this, actually you need to open this in a new window for this to work. It's just something with glitch. So if I click this, it'll take me to google.com. Great, right? Now our website is a little bit more responsive. So I'm going to implement this in my coding resources list. I'm going to make all of these LIs go to the websites of these services. So the way we do that is go inside our LI, put our A tag, put our href equals, and then we just go to the GitHub website. So if I search github.com, and then I copy that, and then we're going to paste that in there. And before we can move on, we got to move this GitHub text into the A tag. Paste that in there, and we see we get this underline purple link. We can click on it and it will take us to the GitHub page. I'm going to do this for all 3 of these resources. So again, we start with an A tag, we put href equals quotation marks, Stack Overflow, so let's go to stackoverflow.com, copy that, paste that in. We want to close our opening tag, and then put the Stack Overflow text between those 2 tags. So if you're getting a little confused with how this is placed, just look at mine and copy it. You can change the text inside here. This doesn't have to be GitHub. This can be whatever website you want your user to be redirected to. And then here you'll have to put the link address to that website. You can get that by just looking up the website and then, like I did here, Stack Overflow, and then highlighting this and copying it into your quotations here. So last one is FreeCodeCamp. So let's go to freecodecamp.org. Copy that in. Oops, I did not copy that into the quotations. And then move that text. And there we go. I'm just going to delete this Google it because we don't really need that. And now we have all of our links working. So let's test them out. We can click this one and it'll take us to GitHub. So I'm going to assume that these 2 are working. But just copy the outline I did here we see that we have these li tags, and within that we have the the link tag or the a tag, and then just our GitHub text. Alright, so now we can move on to images. So the image tag, like I said in the slides, is a little different. It doesn't have a closing tag, or a traditional one at least, but it has this slash at the end of its opening tag. And then that's just it. But like the a tag, the image tag does take an attribute, and this attribute is src, which stands for source. And we do the same way how we do the href, except we're going to put, instead of a link, we're going to put a image address in here. So let's go to our browser, and I'm just going to search up coding. I'm going to go to images, and I'm going to pick a image I want to use. So let me use this one. All you have to do is right click this, or click it with 2 fingers if you're on a Mac, and then you want to go to copy image address. Click that, go back to your glitch, and inside these quotations just paste the image address. And we see that it takes a little while to load, but our image is huge. Oh my goodness. And if we see this on full screen, yep, this is way too big. I mean, can't have this on a website. Alright, so how do we fix that? We can do that by adding more attributes. The image tag actually takes height and width attributes. So I'm going to give it a height equal to 300 pixels, and we denote pixels by px, and then I'm going to give it a width equal to, let's say, 350 pixels. And we'll see how that looks. So if we go back here, we get it's a little scrunched up, a little distorted. There are ways to keep it from getting distorted, but for now, I'm just gonna eyeball it. That's a little better. Alright, so now we got that image there. I don't want it at the bottom. I'm gonna actually move it to, if I can highlight it all, I'm gonna move it up here right under this paragraph. So paste that in, and we get our image there. Again, feel free to pick any image you would like, change the height and change the width, and you'll be good. Alright, last tag of the day, or last element of the day, is our table element. Now, tables are a bit tricky. They definitely involve a lot of other elements, so just stay with me here. If you don't get it at first, that's totally understandable. You can rewatch this as many times as you would like, and feel free to ask me questions. Alright, so we start our table with a table tag. I know, not too bad yet. But then we add a t head. This is going to be where our table header is. So I'm just going to give it a header of coding statistics. Well, before we can do that, sorry, I missed a few steps. We need a t row, which is tr, and inside that tr we need th. And then we're gonna put our coding statistics. Now we see it's bolded, meaning it's a header, and this is our basic layout so far. Just like there's a t head, there's also gonna be a t body. So let's put that in. Give us some space there. Now we have our t body, and inside this t body, let's put another t row. So this is going to add another row to our table, and then inside of that row we're going to have a td. Now our first td let's just say number of jobs, and then we're going to create another TD, which stands for table data. So right here we have number of jobs, and then here we'll have average salary, and then we'll say another TD with growth, if I can spell that right, growth rate. Alright, so here we have this sort of looking like a table, not really, because what we actually need to do is add a border attribute here, and now it'll look more like a table because it has that border. Alright, so let's put some things in these columns. We can do that by adding another TR inside our T-body, and then again we add the TDs. For number of jobs, I'm just gonna put in a random number, I don't really know. Not a letter though. For average salary, let's at least give this. That's not an accurate number at all. Okay, but for average salary, again, I'm just gonna put a random number. That's way too high, but anyway. And then we'll put our growth rate. Let's say 45%, I don't know. So these are just some random statistics I put in that are definitely not true, but you can see where I'm going with this. Some websites don't need a table, but you can definitely include one. It's a great way to visualize data. But before next class, which is going to be next Wednesday, we're going to be going over CSS. I recommend that you at least pick an idea for your website, at least know what your website's going to be about, and have a few of these elements. I would say we went over, I think, 6 elements today. I would say have 4 out of 6 of these elements on your website, so we have enough elements to style. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to give it a like, and you can definitely share this with any of your friends who may be considering learning how to code. It's a great start, web design, and thank you for watching. See you next time.